the Australians out there, having a look at what Clif High is saying in respect of his latest report in Australia. There's quite a bit in there. Just before we move on though, I should mention that you can buy your own copy of this. It's a 45-page report. It does a fantastic job. It costs $15 if you go to halfpasthuman.com. Okay, so just a quick overview of what he's saying. This is the first thing in relation to real estate. He says that the data sets have the Australian housing market showing its age and sad condition over the first few weeks of the new year, as several impacts are forecast to be felt from monetary mistakes, political turmoil related to construction, and international censure or criticism also related to corruption and bribery. He also has, he says the Australian real estate crisis is showing as moving into political instability as the corruption scandals escalate and the dirty details come out involving banks. So it looks like there might be some political issues coming up for us. He also says that our Australian banking system will become under strain, and he suggests that the sets indicate that the Australian banking system will not be providing funding, as there will be strains to the system such that real estate goes wonky just when anticipated foreign investment should be driving prices upwards. And we'll talk about the foreign investment in a minute. They're also describing a Herculean effort to repair the broken system of real estate financing, so something to do with real estate financing. Okay, next section is the economy. He says that Australia will be impacted by a global currency crisis predicted to occur around February 2017, and by mid-year or just a little later, I think he says August, the Australian mainstream press is going to start talking about our economy going into depression. So that's interesting. He says that he talks about the Chinese and their contagion, and he said that spreads to the Australian dollar, the Canadian dollar, the British sterling and the euro, and they all start manifesting echoes of the panic to flee. So you can work with that as you will. He says these sets are also pointing out devaluations that will be slicing wealth away from the populations affected. So again, make it up as you will. Let's move on down. The Australian dollar will falter as a result of the currency crisis, but longer term Australia will benefit as the result of a significant discovery in the Antarctica, that should read, and on the northwest coast of Australia. Okay, this is in relation to the what may be exposed. You'll see it's already been covered. Shock claims massive ancient civilization lies frozen deep beneath the Antarctic ice. People have been called conspiracy theorists for saying that in the past, but interestingly, that's what we expect that will be announced. Mind you, they've probably taken all the good stuff away. He also talks about some earth changes for Australia. Part of Australia's northwest coast will tear away to reveal a valuable silver deposit, and a crack several kilometres long is expected to appear following seismic activity in the northwest of Australia. He also talks about deep caves that will be discovered on an uninhabited coast of Australia. He talks about earthquakes and undersea earthquakes increasing over the next 5 years. And he also mentions extreme weather, including Australia gets hit by weather conditions that had not been forecast to be a problem for the USA military deep state installations being hosted by Australia. So I'm thinking that would be Pine Gap. Okay, and when it comes to health, there's a couple of interesting things here. He talks about food poisoning. He actually says that there'll be a new growth in these sets seem to be tying the old historical food poisoning episode to current food poisoning, as well as forecast government lies or problems relating to food safety. And then he suggests that that this will cause a backlash. He says that The last sets are supported by many sets going to international imports, as well as suggesting that widespread illnesses, once thought to be viral or bacterial, that are described as having been part of the Australian health landscape for years, are going to be put into a new light as the Officialton problems come to public attention. Now, I don't understand what he would say, what health problem has been part of the Australian health landscape that would be as a result of viruses or bacteria, but nevertheless, that's in there. And then the last thing he mentions is food shortages that will be temporary, but the wording he says is the sets suggest that Australia, maybe New Zealand, are going to be extinction essential as regards to food crops, albeit only temporarily. The data is some food crops going missing that will be climate-related extinctions, and that will have long-lasting impacts on Australia's collective psyche, as well as creating money problems for a number of people who will have been formerly employed in the harvesting and processing of those crops. So just a quick update for things to look out for coming in the coming years in relation to Australia, according to the Clif High's webbot. Cheers. Hi guys, I just want to do a quick video for all the Australians out there, having a look at what Clif High is saying in respect of his latest report in Australia. There's quite a bit in there. Just before we move on though, I should mention that you can buy your own copy of this. It's a 45-page report. It does a fantastic job. It costs $15 if you go to halfpasthuman.com. Okay, so just a quick overview of what he's saying. This is the first thing in relation to real estate. He says that the data sets have the Australian housing market showing its age and sad condition over the first few weeks of the new year, as several impacts are forecast to be felt from monetary mistakes, political turmoil related to construction, and international censure or criticism also related to corruption and bribery.